The aims of the Robina Sentencing Law and Policy Program Area are to be as helpful as we can be to sentencing policymakers in the states, in other countries, as they work with some of the issues that we've been studying in our research and in our standards drafting work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we believe that the academic work that we do can be policy relevant. That's one of the things the University of Minnesota is good at. That's one of the things we try to do in our career and have tried to do for many years, to build bridges between what research is doing in the universities and what the law is doing and what policymakers are doing in the real world.
And it's a two-way process. So just as we hope to be helpful to the policymakers, they are being helpful to us as we study them and work with them.
One example of what the Institute does well, I think, is the first meeting, or one of the first meetings we had, bringing experts from around the country on community penalties, or the problems that offenders and ex-offenders face when they return to the community. And we were able to fill the room with 35 experienced, wise people who could help inform our work and really informed the draft of the Model Penal Code, the most recent draft that covered those subject areas.
Most offenders, whether they go to prison or not, end up in the community. And so the conditions that are placed on those offenders and the sanctions that are used to enforce those conditions are a central part of sentencing, but a much neglected one. Another example is the use of criminal history in guideline sentencing. All guideline systems have a criminal history score which is used to enhance penalties. And yet the rationale for those sentencing enhancements and the particular formulas that are used have hardly been studied at all. So we've begun working with sentencing guidelines commissions to take a look at those scores, what goes into them, how do the different systems differ from each other, which particular components of those systems have valuable predictive validity in terms of risk assessment. Are they having a disparate impact without any valuable crime control benefit? So this is an area that's really not been studied at all in terms of the way in which criminal history enhancements are defined and implemented. And one of the other ways in which we can be helpful to guidelines and sentencing commission states is through the National Association of Sentencing Commissions, which has an annual meeting where people exchange experiences and ideas, but not really with much of a research basis. The organization really doesn't have a staff or a research capability, so we hope to provide that and to working with those commissions, learn from them, but bring together what's already known about sentencing in those states.
Another group of the states that we really hope to work with are states that don't have a national association or an organization for academic policy research to interact with state policy makers. And those are the states that still have parole boards deciding when prisoners will be released. And it's still a majority practice in the United States. And yet, at least in the legal academic world, people like us, the professors, have been neglecting those jurisdictions. So we really hope in the initial years to form ties with those states, get to know their processes better, find out ways in which we can make them do their work better, hopefully make their processes more fair, more racially equitable. That's a big project, but no one has been tilling that ground. I'm Kevin Reitz.
I'm Richard Fraze. We're the coordinators of the Sentencing Law and Policy Program Area.
Cut.